It's a wing in this respect that it is complicating the atmosphere in the Senate and in Congress for a lot of the Trump agenda items. And I think that's a leap because there are other factors at play here, including reports that came out a little bit better than expected, but show a slowing in economic momentum, and that could be weighing on stocks as well. I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but the political fallout from all of this with the UVA Center for Politics Director Larry Sabato. Larry's got a brand new book out, well, not brand new, but on the election itself called Trump. Larry, on the fallout from this, and if we have to go ahead and see this get as nasty as some say it will get, and that it's just a simple majority that confirms Gorsuch on Friday. What's the fallout from that?
Well, it suggests a reduction in comity, C-O-M-I-T-Y, in the Senate. The C-O-M-E-D-Y will still be there, but the idea of comity and consensus, which we did once value. And by the way, Chad brought up a very interesting point. Back in 1968, he mentioned the filibuster against Justice Abe Fortas, who was nominated to become Chief Justice during Lyndon Johnson's last year as president. Of course, he didn't get it because of a corruption scandal. But back then, Neil, it took 67 votes to cut off a filibuster.
Wow.
In the mid-1970s, the 67 was lowered to 60. And by the end of the week, as Chad suggested correctly, it's going to be lowered to 50 plus the vote of the vice president. So this has been going on for a long time. I may regret it, you may regret it, others may say it's a decline in consensus that we used to have in our system, but it's reality.
You know, some have likened it to the end of the edge of the Senate. In other words, this is where you found consensus. This is where you bridge the divide. This is where the two sides work together. And otherwise, you might as well be a six-year congressman, a six-year representative, because that's what this comes down to. Do you buy that?
Well, I do think that there is something to what many senators on both sides are saying, some publicly, some privately. They're asking, what's the difference going to be between the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives? And you just said it. It's a six-year term rather than a two-year term, but they're operating on the same partisan basis. And, you know, I think that is a concern. The founders had a different vision of the Senate and its role in American government. And if we're losing that, then I think that's regrettable. I do disagree with Chad on one thing. I don't think this will immediately or anytime soon lead to the abolition of the 60-vote rule for legislation. Both Majority Leader McConnell and Minority Leader Schumer say that they do not want that to happen, and they know of very few senators who want to give up on that rule for legislation. Now, maybe it happens in 10 years, I don't know, but I don't think it'll happen anytime soon.
But wouldn't it also, if they go through with this, the nuclear option, whatever they want to call it, that it would behoove who's ever in power to get the most strident justice they possibly could? So if Democrats are in control and all you need is a simple majority, as liberal could be, if you're Republicans and you're in charge, as conservative would be, if for no other reason than to appease your base and just deal with it.
You got it. This is going to be another reinforcement of the intense polarization that we have seen develop really since the 70s and 80s. This has been going on for decades, and it keeps getting worse. And it's like instead of one nation indivisible, we're becoming two nations divisible.
Yeah, not too bad. You might have a future at this whole history stuff, so keep working at it, Professor.
Thank you so much.
Anything I can do. Always good seeing you, my friend.